it audible now? Yeah. Okay. I'm really flattered and honored to be here, particularly after the fact that the organizers chose to call me after they couldn't get Sunny Leone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Sorry. Is it not listening to me? Yeah. I'm here to tell you a story of an idea of what can happen when we come together with our small little contributions. And the story goes back to my unsweet 16th. I am aware that I'm telling the story when my sister is here in the audience, she doesn't know it yet. I was supposed to be preparing for engineering, so many engineers here, and that's when I happened to read a biography of George Bernard Shaw, GBS, and it had this wonderful line, I have only one life to live. Such a simple line, but it was like an epiphany. I figured out, yes, I have only one life to live. And I realized that I want to really work on something that provoked me the most. And what provoked me the most was the cynicism that I found in people like me. The cynicism that translated into thoughts like, so what if I do it? So what if I don't pay bribes? So what if I don't litter the streets? The streets are dirty anyway. The system is corrupt anyway. So as a result of this cynicism, what often happened is that we never did anything. And it was also convenient not to do anything. It's always easy not to do anything. And when I thought about it, I realized that this cynicism exists because most people feel they cannot really, we all want change, but most people thought that they can only make small contributions. And they could not see how their small contributions could bring about any change. And so the real challenge then was to demonstrate, if you want this to change, what you really want is an attitudinal change, a change in the mindset, to demonstrate that change is possible with these small contributions, to demonstrate that ordinary individuals have the power in them to bring about change, and to bring that change with their little contributions. So that was the big challenge. But I thought that's something that we needed to work on. But as we thought of doing this, so starting something, an initiative that will try to demonstrate the power of these small contributions to bring about change in society. Obviously, we are talking about something that in popular terms most people will call an NGO. But then there were two major challenges there when we wanted to start this. One was what I would call a trap of the imagination. A trap that made people think that change can only happen if there are millions or billions. It's a trap because this leads often to this classic startup challenge, which is like a chicken and egg story. To start something you need money, but then to get the money you need to start something. But I think that is basically a trap. I'll talk more about it. The other trap, the other challenge was the kind of trust deficit with NGOs. Most people thought or think still, particularly after the super cyclone in Odisha, that NGOs are there basically to make money. They're all there. Well, there's like everything, there is a bit of truth there. There are a lot of NGOs who take money or make good money and not do work, but there are a lot of NGOs that take money but do good work. And I think that people are being very harsh on NGOs, but the fact remains that people don't trust NGOs. And that is why we thought, if we want to, change mindsets, if we want, now you can only change mindsets, you can only bring about an attitudinal change if it becomes a movement, if you have thousands of people joining you. And any substantial change is a movement, and any movement basically means a change in the mindset. Be it the environmental movement, be it the feminist movement, any movement would mean basically that. So we thought that let us start something, which demonstrates the power of these small contributions. And we thought, if trust is an issue, let us try to demonstrate what is possible without taking funding. It was very difficult. Of course, everyone, mushkil hai. Everyone would say, we said we will not charge people, we will not take any institutional funding, and let's try and see what is possible. because we want trust. We want people to be involved. We don't want people to just dismiss us that they're doing this only because they see a career or it's an opportunity, business opportunity for them. And so we started this initiative whose mission was, in one way I can say, to inspire people to be the change that they want. And if that was the mission, then the vision really was of a world in which this initiative would not be needed. Because if everyone tomorrow becomes the agent of the change that they want, you won't need a platform like or an organization or us working for it. So that's what we started. And we started, we didn't have any money, we didn't have anything for that matter, and we just had an idea that if we bring people together, we'll be able to, and we want to demonstrate what can happen when people come together. So we decided to start with a children's library, and we decided to mobilize people, 1,000 people. It was an online campaign, 1,000 people to contribute books to set up this library. And many people said, it's not going to happen. A library cannot just be built with books. You can't just collect books and build a library. Things don't happen that way. And this is where I want to emphasize one point. We often hear this, I keep hearing this all the time, and I'm sure all of you keep hearing this, that to start anything you need money. Let me clarify here. To start anything, you don't need money, you need resources. Money is one simple, stereotypical way of getting those resources. The other way is to get the resources themselves directly. And the best way of mobilizing resources is to mobilize people. Here, I remember in 2006 when we started this campaign, a friend in the US directed my attention to the famous election campaign of Obama. I'm sure all of you know the story. Obama refused federal funding, resisted funding from the lobbies, but then he ended up mobilizing more people because he mobilized people. And everyone who contributed $5 or $10 to his campaign ended up campaigning for him. So you're getting money and people are actually mobilizing others. So the real way of mobilizing resources is something which is a difficult path, which is not as easy as getting 10 lakhs from someone to start a library. So we said, when people said that, how will you run the library with just getting books from people? I said, if we have 1,000 people with us, the other things will fall into place. I wasn't sure, but there was this gut feeling that everything is going to work out. And so the library started, a lot of people got involved, and it came out beautifully. A lot of people contributed the ideas, that's a mirror, artists came and developed it, a lot of books came in. There was an Israeli artist who came, she was kicked out of China during the Beijing Olympics, and she said she came, did a workshop. She got, a lot of things have happened. She said that, I want to paint here. I said, welcome. So I said, I would like this place to be a museum of books. So she came up with this little book made, the invisible bookshelves. A lot of things kept happening. A lot of people kept coming, developing. This terrace was developed recently by volunteers entirely. And we had children all, the library was free for all, children from the slums as well as, the middle class. Now, when the library started, a lot of people said, this is not something, it seems too elitist for the poor, for the disadvantaged. Now, my answer was, a library for the disadvantaged doesn't have to look disadvantaged. And thank you. And now we're proud that without any funding, entirely with people giving books, now it's widely regarded as probably the best collection of picture books in the country. And we're called to go to different parts of India to have exhibition of books. And now what happens is, it is something which I would call an alternative economy. An economy that thrives on a lack of money. By just providing a platform for people to get involved, for people to take ownership of the space, of whatever you're creating. I call it volunteer capitalism. Like capital has an intrinsic quality of attracting more capital, the story of volunteerism and the story of the library, it encourages people to come and contribute, to be a part of it. And for many other things to emerge out of it. Something that I'll briefly talk about. So people have come, every book in the library is acknowledged. And they say donated by so and so. So when people come, they come back with their books to donate. I'd like to tell a story of a wonderful story. There was this boy called Bruhaspati Baske from one of the slums of Bhubaneswar. The first time he came to the library, I met him, he saw the books. The next day, he was back with all the books he had at home. I was surprised that he had so many books, but then he had come back with all the books. I cried. I cried because I felt that somewhere we have made some impact. Because the idea was to inspire people, you know. That's why the library is open for the middle class also. Because we want everyone to be inspired and to join hands. But then for a year or so, he didn't come. When he came back after a year, I asked him, where were you all this time? And it seems he had to move town because of some family problems. He had to go back to his village. But then when he was back, when he met me, he cried. He cried because he saw his books in the library and he saw his name on those books. And that is something that, you know, happens when you provide people that sense of ownership. You know, provide a space to contribute. And a lot of people want to contribute. And when you have people joining hands, a lot of things can happen. There were a lot of expats in town, and they used to hang out together. And when they saw this library, they said, well, we can do. So we started a program called Storytelling from Around the World. So we had people from different countries coming and telling stories from their country and about their country. A kind of multicultural exposure. No funding, not at all. It's about people. It's about ideas. And a lot of them, I think the best thing about volunteerism and the best thing about running something entirely on volunteerism is you get to harness the volunteerism of ideas. Ideas in today's world mean everything. And if people are ready to contribute the ideas to you, I think that's the best bargain one can make. For example, you know, so a lot of experiments keep happening at the library. So there was an Estonian volunteer, she came up with this idea of a living library. If you know what a living library is, you go to this living library and you check out the profiles of books, find out which book you're interested in, you think of borrowing it. The difference is, and you borrow it, the difference is that the book is actually a human being who represents a particular prejudice. Could be a sex worker, could be a homosexual, could be a Maoist, could be anything. So similarly, there have been a lot of experiments, and the experiments have not just happened with foreigners. It's our own volunteers here, and I'll briefly talk about the My Tree campaign, and I'm very happy that many of the volunteers who are associated with it are here. Now we wanted, obviously, like any youth group of volunteers wanting to do something, a lot of people were interested in the environment, and we wanted to plant trees. But how many trees can one plant? Because the question is not just how many trees you plant, but how many you nurture as well. And so we thought it may be a better idea if we focus on the practice of gifting trees. You know, in fact, when we started this, there was this volunteer, he said that we should have a slogan as, Abhi swaag gacha laga. Yeah, because the, you know, ped lagao, save the world, they have all become cliches, and we all suffer from an instruction overdose. So we thought that if we focus on the practice of gifting trees, you know, when you gift a tree, you're actually giving the message of planting trees without using any words. And maybe someone loves the idea and takes it from there, and it spreads like a virus. If you can actually, because if it becomes a cultural practice, then you don't need events. It takes care of itself. And in 2011, we gave it a fresh buzz, and our volunteers, and these are all young volunteers, some of whom are here. The guy who got a tree for taking bath, he is definitely here. And the others, so they just trivialized the idea. And these are all young people. There's Rishi also here, Abhay, Pritish, all of them are here. And it was that you don't really need a reason to gift a tree, you know. So I got one for taking bath every day, you know. A lot of people in the hostel who stay in the hostel here don't really take bath every day. We know that. And this guy gets a tree for it. But definitely on occasions like, you know, any occasion of childbirth, if I've gifted a tree, I know that the tree is definitely planted and nurtured because there's a sentimental attachment there. And when you gift a tree, as I said, you know, someone just loves it. You know, and it could just take it from there. Because the biggest challenge when we thought about this campaign was, pehle dimag mein to aaye ki a tree is also a good gift to give. That is the biggest challenge, and that we did in many ways. One of the ways was the fake birthdays. Again, our volunteers came up with it. Many of our volunteers, you know, they keep hanging out a lot. We go to CCDs and other restaurants, and they thought, chalo, whenever we go to CCD, the only extra thing we'll do is we'll take a gift wrap sapling. And we just do a little photo shoot with the sapling. Everyone will think, arey, birthday celebrate ho raha hai, and the tree is being gifted. Wonderful. No money needed. Nothing. Just the power of an idea. Just on Valentine's Day, our volunteers came up with this idea that why gift roses? Gift rose plants. Gift roses forever. And the best part was, The demand supply curve changes the equation about a rose, a gift rose. A gift rose on Valentine's Day or the day before was 30 rupees, but a rose sapling with a rose in it was 15 rupees. तुम rose को काट दो, it becomes 30 rupees. Rose को रहने दो, it becomes 15 rupees. But that's how it works. The economy works. This is something we have been thinking about, Memorial Avenue. I think that's the best gift one can give. And when people meet and they think about ideas, a lot of crazy thing happens. So one of those is when our volunteers post pictures, they don't say cheese, they say trees. Try it out. It's as good. Similarly signing off. And it's not just volunteerism of ideas that happens when you allow people to contribute, when you provide a space for people to come together. You also get volunteerism of the best people whom you can never afford. For example, there's Tracy Lee Stump, who is one of the greatest 3D street artists. She came down, she heard our story and said, okay, I would like to do a workshop there. I know that we could never have afforded her. She came down and did a workshop. So these people, so when you talk about volunteerism, it's also volunteerism of the best people. And the best people can only volunteer. Like Nandita coming and telling a story. Artists joining hands. This is a wall that was painted near the Big Bazaar in Patia, where we had great contemporary artists. Because when people hear the story, they want to be a part of it. And that is the power, of people coming together. I won't really talk much about these activities, but there is, a couple of things about where do we go from here. We started with the library, just a few books, people contributed, but then it builds up. It's slowly, it became a huge library. So much so that even Pearson Education, in one of the textbooks of the university, the story was told, and then Pearson sent us 200,000 books. It was like a convoy of 5 trucks coming. It became, thank you. It became a big trouble for us to, then distribute them. But that's how it happened. And there have been new libraries coming up. There is only one Bakul library, but there are 2 libraries in villages of Odisha. People came, they saw, and they thought, well, if these guys could do it, so can we. At XLI, they had called me for a talk on social entrepreneurship, and when I was there, they did a book collection drive and started a library and said that this is replicable. And that is what we want to be. We want to be inspirational. It is not about how many libraries we have set up or what we have done, but can people see our story and know this and feel that they can do it themselves? Because that is the idea. The thing that touched me the most, one of them, I'll just say, is nothing related to libraries. I mean, I was once on radio and there was this guy from Nalco, he was a manager from Nalco. He heard my interview and then he comes back and tells me, you know what, for the last 2 years, I've been struggling with a problem. Now his mother had cancer and there was this big pharma company that was giving some kind of a support to such cancer victims. And most of such patients were not aware of it. And he wanted to organize an awareness program to tell people about this support that was available. And he had figured out the cost as 30,000 rupees. He had applied to Nalco for the support, but the file was never moving. He was a manager in Nalco, senior manager, and he thought that Nalco should pay, but it was not happening. When he heard my interview, he said, why the hell am I waiting for Nalco? I can contribute, well, 30,000 is all we need. I can contribute 2,000. I can definitely mobilize 15 friends or 20 friends who will give 2,000 or 1,000 each, and we can do it. Why am I waiting for 2 years to do this? That is success for me. It is not about how much we are doing. Because we keep getting this question wherever I go, particularly in business schools. What is the scalability? What is, without money, what can you do to scale it up? And here I would like to say, well, you've already seen it, that something that I strongly believe that the most scalable thing is actually hope. If we can create hope in people, if we can create hope in ordinary individuals that change is possible and they can be architects of that change, I don't think we need anything more to happen. That's all. Thank you very much. And I'm aware that without money you can do a lot of things. Though to come to TEDxMasterCanteenSquare you needed some money. Thank you.